Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, May 14th, and this is virtual lunch number 304. Our guest today is Tim Bowers, who's the managing partner of VLP Law Group in San Francisco. This is part of our growth and efficiency series, thanks to our friends at SurePoint Technologies. So we'll start with Lydia, because Lydia was the one who's responsible for this discussion.
I thought it'd be fun for fellow West Coasters to participate in the virtual lunch. I run the marketing team at SurePoint and have really enjoyed being on the virtual lunch for this past month. It's been great. So I've been learning a lot. So welcome, Tim.
I'm a native New Yorker, grew up on Long Island. My parents are retired public school teachers. My sister, unfortunately, is also a lawyer. I started practicing at Sidley Austin in New York City. I've been at VLP now for 7.5 years. We've been around since 2008. My practice consists of today really a Silicon Valley type corporate practice representing emerging growth companies in life sciences and technology, mostly from formation to exit. I like being in the office environment. I like being able to see colleagues. But what I didn't love about it was the extraordinary amount of face time that exists in big law. It just always has. My wife, Kristen, who's also a lawyer, she knew I was getting pretty dissatisfied with big law. And she said, hey, I think one of my former colleagues at Morrison & Foster started a law firm that's kind of a distributed model. You may want to look into it. His name is David Goldenberg. He's one of our founding partners. I did look into it, ended up joining. What's culture going to be like at a firm that doesn't have shared office space? What I found was culture was a very deliberate thing and deliberately cultivated from the outset in 2008. And we had established a virtual culture committee that still exists today back in '08 when we started, and tried to think of creative ideas to keep people together and keep those connections strong. So it really wasn't a huge adjustment, shockingly. I was worried about it, but my connections with my colleagues now are as strong as they were in big law, because really, even in big law, you ended up mostly communicating via your 4-digit extension down the hallway or via email. Things haven't changed all that much, I don't think, for me. I no longer had an executive assistant. I never really relied too much on that resource. We weren't very leveraged in the sense that we didn't have many associates or even paralegals at the firm. When we started in '08, it was all partners. When I joined, that had been changing a little bit, but I realized it was a much more roll up your sleeves and do the work. That worked for me. That's how I practiced in the past anyway, because I was a control freak over my work product and what I was delivering to clients anyway. But it was a little bit different not having that layer to push down if you got busy. We since filled that out with different levels of help. I was still connecting with my colleagues all the time. We had 2 firm-wide calls a month. We still do that. What's interesting about our model, it hasn't changed since day one. You don't get paid at VLP as a partner unless you collect from clients. So what that does is it encourages folks not only to take on high quality paying clients, but also to work hard and to hustle. Our DNA goes back many years to Wilson Sonsini. Craig Johnson was the founder of our firm, and Craig was a rainmaker at Wilson and then ended up breaking off and forming a firm called Venture Law Group. I can speak to the corporate group of our firm because when I joined the firm, we didn't have any associates. We don't hire junior people here because it doesn't work necessarily in this model. What happened was we were getting inundated with M&A deals, large M&A deals with scores of lawyers on the other side of these transactions. And as partners that were managing those deals, we had to call our other corporate partners up and say, hey, do you mind taking a little break from your book? Because I can't do this deal by myself. I need help. At that point, we were like, all right, we need to fill out the ranks. We need to hire senior associates to help do the work. The way our model works, as far as compensating those folks, we pay them a base salary, and then we pay them a billable hour bonus. For every hour they work, they get paid a certain billable hour bonus for those hours. No payment risk to them at all. In other words, the partners take on full payment risk. So to the extent that my clients aren't paying, and I've used a team to work on a transaction, I'm paying that team. They get paid their money regardless. So there's no risk of collection on those associates or paralegals. If people want to make more money, they work more. I think the one thing we've had an issue with from time to time in recruiting associate level candidates is, how do I know that the work's here? And what we've been able to say so far, and this may change, trust us, we say, it's here. It's not good for anyone if we're lying to you, because then you'll leave and we'll have to go find someone else. Obviously, we needed to reach out to everyone and check in during this pandemic and make sure everyone was okay, and check in with clients and make sure they were okay and try to do our best to help service their needs. And fortunately, we had time to do that because we didn't have to do any transitioning at the firm. Everyone's been remote. We've never owned or leased any real estate. Folks mostly work out of home offices. Some folks will rent offices. Everyone has their own VLP system, so we know everything's locked down. And from a purely business operational standpoint, nothing changed for us. That was wonderful. It was just chance that happened to be the case. We didn't start the firm in 2008 thinking, man, when that COVID pandemic happens, we're going to be well positioned. Every partner has a rate that they set at VLP. I want to get paid this. This is what makes sense for me. The difference between the way a working attorney partner gets compensated and a senior associate gets compensated, the working partner takes on risk of collection with the managing attorney for that particular matter. Typically what will happen is if I have a specialist working on my matter and my client doesn't pay, I make sure my partner gets paid. And I feel like that goes for everyone here at the firm. While that partner takes on risk of collection, in reality, they're usually compensated if a client happens not to pay on that particular matter. As a corporate partner, I get all sorts of hairy issues that I can't handle, but I send to a specialist. When we're looking at candidates to join VLP, we're looking at quality of education, experience, mostly big law or general counsel experience, but we're looking at how they fit into the firm. Do we have that specialty? And if we don't have that specialty, we want that person regardless of their book of business. What's nice is we've been able to hire talent wherever it sits. We're not limited to where we can hire folks. And so I think that's been really great. I would say on the virtual side, I haven't heard from people who want to start a virtual law firm. I've heard from folks that are managing very large law firms who are asking, how the heck do we do this? That's what I'm hearing. We function very much like a traditional brick and mortar firm. I mean, we all came from big law firms. So that's what we know. The one thing we eliminated was the comp committee. We're run by what I would consider to be a very strong executive committee of 5 partners at the firm. I'm one of 5 members of that committee. As the managing partner of the firm, I don't have a guaranteed seat. The partnership votes on every seat of that committee. Yeah, the virtual culture committee is super important to this place. And I would say the pandemic, it's had an impact on us for sure. That's something that when we're vetting candidates, that is part of our disclosure. Like, hey, are you a roll up your sleeves type of lawyer? Because you need to be here.
How do you leverage technology for productivity purposes as a remote organization?
So SurePoint's helping with us with this for sure. The day-to-day practice of law for lawyers here, we use the suite of services that most law firms use. We use Outlook. We use iManage in the cloud. We migrated to the cloud recently. And now we had all these homegrown accounting systems. We had a developer back in 2008 who built us like custom time entry, all that other stuff. So now with SurePoint, we're getting that all under one roof on the accounting practice management side of things, being able to look more clearly, bringing up important numbers, collections, fees generated, getting to drill down on really the important things that management needs to see to run a business. So the trust thing, this goes back to juniors not working here. We don't get it right all of the time. We've had situations where it hasn't worked out with someone. But our vetting process is extremely thorough. We're actually trying to streamline it a bit because it can take a really long time. We have folks talk to a lot of people before they join the firm. We get a sense as to whether or not we think that they can handle working in a remote environment. We only hired senior paralegals, senior associates, because we believe that they have the maturity to be able to handle working in a remote environment. The other thing is we can't train junior people properly without a physical environment. And we know that because we were all trained at big law firms, sitting next to a partner, going over a markup of document and talking it through. I don't think we're going to change our approach at all. It's been working really well for many, many years pre-pandemic. What's going to happen post-pandemic, I'm hoping, again, we have an opportunity to recruit exceptional lateral talent. I'm excited. I think our growth trajectory is going to be off the charts coming out of this for sure. And we're working very hard on the recruiting side and the marketing side to set ourselves up for that opportunity.
Tim Bowers, everybody. Well, we're so grateful to you, to Lydia Flocchini and team at SurePoint for supporting this discussion.